You think this is maxed out? Sorry to say, but I seem to be breaking the limits.
An assassin faces off against a bunch of assassins and kills them all, except for their leader, William Jin, who manages to escape after a brief battle. The assassin's boss, who goes by the name Father, tells him about a new mission to meet Melida Angel from the Royal Angel family. The assassin adopts the name Kufa Vampire and travels to the city of Flandor. He becomes friends with a girl named Rossetti Prickett, who is also referred to as Rose. After this, he meets Melida for the first time. Their encounter is a little awkward, so Melida gets embarrassed and falls down, but Kufa saves her, and then we learn that he's her new magic instructor. Melida battles her friend Nerva in a casual fight, but is defeated easily and is ridiculed by the other girls of the royal house. We learn that Melida has not been able to awaken her mana, whereas her cousin Elise has already activated her paladin level magic. Kufa's mission is to see if Melida truly is the daughter of her father, Felgus Angel, but he notices that she has no paladin quality and determines that she is the product of an extramarital affair. Kufa was instructed to kill Melida if she wasn't of royal blood, but then he sees her fighting some lycanthropes. He hears her frustrated cries and feels for her, so he comes in and kills the monsters. Now Kufa offers to help Melida by sharing his magic with her. She agrees and he transfers a potion by kissing her. Melida collapses but wakes up the next day with her mana awakened. Kufa takes note that he cannot allow the White Guild to realize she's an illegitimate child, otherwise they will both be killed. Kufa inspects Melida's body and informs her that she doesn't have paladin magic, but it is of samurai class just like him. He also asks her not to use mana until the upcoming school tournament. At the academy, they meet Elise and also Rose, who is revealed to be her tutor. Rose tries to be friendly with Kufa, but he acts so distant, so she gets upset. After a week of intense training, the tournament finally kicks off and Melida's team is put up against Nerva's team. Felgus is in attendance along with his father Mordru, so Kufa remains nervous throughout the battle. Nerva takes on Melida by herself, and to everyone's surprise, Melida activates her mana. She begins to dominate the fight, but then her mana runs out and Nerva attacks her again. After a brief scare, Melida defeats her with a trick she picked up from Kufa. She is excited and tells her father about it, but he advises her not to get too confident. However, Kufa praises her achievements and they get closer to each other. Unfortunately, Melida's team loses against Elise later on when she awakens her paladin powers. Melida asks Kufa to join her for the Circlet Night Fest. She also requests a dance, but Kufa hesitates. Then Melida decides to wear a special dress that she and Elise had promised to match for this night, but Elise is forced to wear something fancy by her maid Othala. Melida finds Elise crying at the fest and tries to console her, but then they are kidnapped by William and his lycanthropes. He reveals himself as an artificial lycanthrope and offers to transfer Elise's mana to Melida, but she refuses and tries to escape with Elise. Their powers are suppressed by William's bandages, so Melida tries other tactics, but William is too strong for her. He senses something ominous in the angel cousins and wants to kill them, but Kufa and Rose arrive just in time to rescue them. Kufa chases after William, but is confronted by a man-made chimera when he catches up to him. William tries to suppress Kufa's mana by using his bandages, and a fierce battle follows where Kufa loses his arm. With no other choice, Kufa transforms into his vampire avatar and kills the chimera, after which he reattaches his arm. He reveals to William that he's half vampire and lets him live so that he can tell his employers about Melida being a paladin. However, an assassin named Black Madia is told to investigate Kufa for his suspicious actions. Later at the fest, Kufa finally allows Melida to have her dance. In a flashback, Elise remembers the time Melida had protected her from a wolf attack in the woods. Rose continues to flirt with Kufa, but he advises her against it as their clients wouldn't approve of this behavior. The Luna Lumiere selection tournament is announced between the St. Friedsuid and St. Diotrich academies. Surprisingly, Melida and Elise are put against each other, and Melida is joined by Nerva and Shenfa. During their training, Melida meets a student from St. Diotrich named Mule Lamour, who encourages her to fight Elise. Later Later, Kufa catches Othello in the act and exposes her as the one who tampered with the girls' names so that she could break Melida's and Elise's relationship. Melida challenges her by saying she will form a unit with Elise if she wins the tournament. Now, Black Maria runs into Kufa and they fight after she reveals her suspicion about Melida. Meanwhile, Elise tells Melida that she'll lose on purpose so that Othello won't bother them anymore. Now, Rose joins Kufa in his fight and Maria disappears upon noticing her disadvantage. Despite Kufa and Rose warning the headmaster about Maria, the academy decides to go ahead with the tournament. Tensions increase as Melida's team continues to train, but Kufa notices something wrong with Melida and confronts her about it. She reveals what Elise told her, and Kufa suggests sorting it out with her in private. The tournament begins, with Melida and Elise battling each other, while Kufa and Rose are on the lookout for Maria. Kufa locates a woman on the top of the building and thinks it's Maria, but when he confronts her, he learns that it's Mule from the Night Duke house. He suddenly realizes who Maria might be disguised as and rushes to the girls. As Elise and Melida fight, they let out their feelings and become emotional, after which they hug. However, we learn that Maria had trapped Nerva and took her place in Melida's team to attack her. A brief battle ensues, but then Kufa and Rose show up in time to defeat Maria. Kufa throws her out of the academy and gives her a letter that is meant for her father. Hera Espada of St. Diotrich ends up winning the tournament, but Melida and Elise are happy as they make amends and finally form a unit. Meanwhile, Kufa suspects how Othello was able to tamper with the names if she isn't able to use mana. At night, Rose comes to Kufa and talks to him about a rumor. In the meantime, Melida, Elise, Mule, and Salacha sneak out of their rooms and travel through a tunnel. They end up at a secret after party that's being hosted by both the academies. Everyone has a good time, and then Mule asks her group to talk about their love stories. Nobody has much to say, so she narrates a horror story where a man had killed his wife and ripped out her heart. Salacha adds that the woman's body has become the Grey Witch, who roams around cutting out hearts from young girls. Suddenly, the lights go out and a glowing woman appears with red mana. She attacks the girls and they run away thinking that she's the Grey Witch. Melida, Elise, Mule, and Salacha rush through the tunnel, but they keep stepping on pink goo and eventually find themselves covered in it. The witch arrives again and they try to fight her, but she's too powerful. The girls finally get out of the tunnel and find Kufa, who tricks them into thinking that his heart has been ripped out. This entire charade turns out to be a prank to teach the girls a lesson about breaking their curfew, as the witch was just Rose in disguise. The girls are too exhausted to stand up after their lecture, so Kufa sits by their side throughout a sleepless night. Melida wakes up from a nightmare and is told by Kufa to get ready for a trip to Shangarta. On their way, Rose asks Kufa to pretend to be her fiancé as a means to trick her dad, Marcus Blossom Prickett. He agrees, and then Blossom shows up almost immediately. He talks about being a genetic engineer and tells Rose about a perfect man he's found for her. She tells him that she loves Kufa, and then he examines him. Blossom seems to confuse Kufa with a serial killer he knew from long ago, but lets him off. Melida starts to hear voices in her head, and then one of her classmates passes out. Marcus uses scientific methods to determine that the culprit is a blue mana male, and people start to suspect Kufa. The students reach Shangarta, and Melida hears more voices. She reaches a mystery spot, but Blossom asks her to stay away from there as it is too dangerous. A resident of the city suddenly falls sick with an illness that turns people to monsters, and Marcus has him executed to save his soul. Later, Rose takes Kufa to a church, where she takes him for playing along in front of her father. She also introduces him to Blossom's adopted children. Melida learns about this and gets jealous, so Kufa takes her on a date to a mystery spot where they can float. At night, Melida has another nightmare and wakes up to learn that another blue mana crime has been committed, and even Kufa has gone missing. Elise and Melida go to the church and find all of Blossom's adopted kids drained of life. Kufa is a prime suspect now, so Melida tries to find him. She is joined by Lack, who is actually Maria in her true form. They ask the townfolk about the mystery spots and learn about a crooked house, which is a haunted spot. They check it out and find the bodies of those infected with a monster illness. Lack suspects Blossom of illegal experimentation, and then Melida gets a vision. She rushes to the church and finds Elise knocked out and Rose dead. Blossom cries in anguish and promises to revive his daughter. The town's residents learn of Melida's connection with Kufa, so they chase after her. She runs off to the mystery spot that Blossom had warned her of and breaks in to find a tunnel. Upon further exploration, she finds a library and learns of Blossom's night gene factor that is used to fuse humans with lycanthropes. She hears the voice again, and it summons Rose, who now has white hair and blue mana. She is about to attack Melida, but Kufa stops her and becomes a vampire to convince her not to attack. Rose runs away, while Melida is shocked to see Kufa in his true form. She approaches him, but he pins her down and says he's going to erase her memories, but she argues against it. Melida kisses Kufa, and then he reveals that he was one of Blossom's successful experiments, and Rose was his sister at the church. A spider lycanthrope named Naka had attacked the town and forced Blossom to continue with his experiments. That's when Father and Kufa joined forces to defeat Naka. Rose was severely hurt in the process, so Kufa turned her into a vampire and sealed her memories so that she wouldn't crave blood. He makes Melida promise not to reveal any of this and says that Naka was somehow returned. The spider is working with Blossom to force Rose into marriage so that she can produce more mana users. Melida interrupts the wedding and snaps Rose out of her trance. Naka reveals himself and everyone realizes that he was the culprit all along. Rose chases him but is overpowered when she catches up. Kufa saves her and they both transform into vampire forms to defeat Naka, and they make sure to kill his scattered form as well by taking help from Melida and the girls. Kufa makes Rose forget her memories against her wishes as he doesn't want his little sister to become a target. He also heals Blossom's wife, Carnilla, from the monster disease to repay him for raising him as a child. Melida and Elise make great progress at the academy and are invited to take part in the Vibria Goat Librarian Certification exam, despite being first-year students. Meanwhile, some secret nobles, led by Salsha's brother Serge Shiksal, find out that Melida is an illegitimate child and decide to expose her during the exam upon Mule's suggestion. Later, a masked man arrives at the academy and calls Melida his daughter in order to spread rumors about her. However, Kufa motivates Melida to pass the test and she goes for it. The girls are taken to a lower level of the academy to begin the exam but are attacked by ghosts. In the meantime, Kufa meets Felgus, who wants to take Melida back into his care because of the rumors. However, Kufa convinces him to keep her in the academy because of her potential. The group suddenly learns that the criminal organization Guild Grimfist is attacking the girls. Melida and Elise find themselves separated from the others and fight against an endless army of ghosts. Luckily, Mule and Salacha arrive and save them. The girls team up and decide to continue with the exam, while Kufa rushes to save Melida and Elise. The girls mess around for a bit by transforming into princesses and then reach a scattered library. They need to rearrange the books by killing imps, and they manage to work together to get it done. The girls are given a book each to indicate that they've passed the exam, but Salacha takes away Melida's book and says this is a trap. Meanwhile, the headmistress Charlotte and the other students face off against Guild Grimfist ghosts. Charlotte struggles, but then Kufa saves her by killing his opponents. However, the leader comes back to life as the undead king and summons more ghosts. Now Mule snatches the book and learns that Melida is a samurai class warrior and tries to escape to tell the nobles about it. Kufa isn't able to defeat the undead king in human form, but cannot become a vampire in front of Charlotte and the students. Luckily, William arrives to save everyone. He tells Kufa that Guild Grimfist wants to kill all the academy students, and then they meet Father. William agrees to be a spy for the White Guild in exchange for them turning him back into a human. Later, Mule is caught by Melida, but she casts a spell and takes Melida to an unknown spot. Melida wakes up in a Queen of Hearts courtroom trial with the nobles led by Serge. The trial begins and everyone accuses her of being an illegitimate child. Melida grows tired of the accusations and stands up to her bullies. They ask her to prove her worth by fighting Salacha, and an intense battle begins. Melida tricks everyone into thinking that she's losing and uses this deception to her advantage to win the battle. The nobles panic upon the idea that they were wrong about her, and then Serge is revealed to be a member of Grimfist Guild. He awakens an alternate fountain pen to summon an ink dragon, and the girls save the nobles from getting swallowed by it. The masked man who had earlier claimed to be Melida's father appears and attacks the girls, but then Kufa saves them. He and Melida join forces to defeat the masked man in a string of intense sword fights. Now that order is restored, Felgus investigates the rumors and acknowledges Melida as his daughter, as he remembers there was a samurai class relative in their family. Later, Melida meets Kufa and promises to risk her life for him. And that's the end of the show. Like, share, and subscribe for more amazing recaps. I'll see you soon!